Hey everyone. Okay, let's talk about this new song that Macklemore just put out. I know everyone's really happy about it. There's some really good things that got said and some really important things that got said, but there are also a few problems, and I think they're worth talking about. So the first problem is it's called Hind's Hall, but he doesn't talk about Hind at all. He doesn't talk about her situation. He doesn't really talk about Palestinians all that much in Gaza and what's happening to them. And, that's already a problematic focus. And another big issue is that, yeah, sure, he talks about Biden, but he doesn't talk about the long history of Christian imperialism that is the main driver for what is happening. And he doesn't talk about any of the American companies that are providing bombs and ammo for this genocide, right? He's from Seattle. He should know at least about Boeing. If he's not going to mention General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, which is also RTX, and all the other companies that are, discussed and that are on the BDS lists as well. What he did mention, right, was even more problematic, right? Because here he is giving a complete pass to imperialism and to the military-industrial complex, and talking about the encampments, and not talking about Palestinians. But what he did find a place for in his rap, which I find very problematic, is AIPAC, right? So he mentions AIPAC, which everyone has heard about, more or less, and then slips in a kufi there, like kind of to cover his ass, right? But most people know what AIPAC is, right? So it's the America-Israel Political Action Committee. And then most people don't know what kufi is. I don't know how many of you knew what kufi was before you heard his video, and maybe some of you still don't know what kufi is, even though he mentions it to cover his ass, which kufi, CUFI, Christians United for Israel, a much bigger pro-Israel lobby than AIPAC that nobody talks about, right? The membership of kufi is almost double the membership, not membership, but they almost double the number of Jewish people in the United States. It's over 10 million people. It's much larger than AIPAC. It has a much larger impact, as does the military-industrial complex. But everyone wants to talk about AIPAC because so many Americans and other people want to see that there is a call coming from outside the house, right? They want it to be able to blame Israel as a foreign power, and so therefore anything attached to Israel, that isn't Christian, is a foreign agitator, an external power, right? This whole idea that Israel runs the U.S. comes from AIPAC, which is compared to Christians United for Israel and the rest of the pro-Israel lobby, which is Christian, right? 97% of the world's Christian Zionists are Christian. So I flipped that around, but I was saying, so obviously not 97% of Christians are Zionist. That would be ridiculous, especially with all the Palestinian Christians that are being oppressed by Zionism, and have been oppressed by Christian imperialism since the Middle Ages, right along with their Muslim and other religions, or agnostic atheist Palestinians, because this was, as far as controlling Palestine, even though the messaging is anti-Muslim and has been since the Middle Ages, it's really about taking control of Palestine. And so 97% of Zionists in the world are Christians, but it's very strange that people want to talk about AIPAC. AIPAC is foreign agent. AIPAC is breaking FARA. It's kind of ridiculous that everyone's so focused on AIPAC, and And Macklemore just went with it, right? He went with, let's just drop this in. Let's not mention any of the companies that are US based, that are making huge profits off this genocide, that have a huge hold on US lawmakers. But no, let's focus on AIPAC, you know? So I don't know if it's because he pulled I looked up the definition of this while coming down the stairs, which is something he did on a Zoom, towards the beginning of the genocide. He's like, I looked up the definition of resistance in the dictionary on my way downstairs, giving us very big high school debate club energy. Or if it's intentional to focus solely on AIPAC, and give a pass to U.S. imperialism, but also a Christian imperialist apparatus that has existed for almost 1,000 years, to focus on something so small, relatively, as AIPAC. And I know everyone thinks it has an outsized influence, but when you compare it to the imperialist apparatus that's been around for 1,000 years, when you compare it to the military-industrial complex, which is making huge profits, and their stock prices keep going up since the genocide started and has been testing weapons on Palestinians for decades, this song sucks. Again, because it doesn't talk about Palestinians and what's happening in Gaza enough, but also because it's gone and played in on a trope, gone and doubled down on a dog whistle and given fuel to this fire, which is, dare I say it, because we're not allowed to say it anymore, but anti-Semitic. Because of the focus and, the way that when you imply that it's a foreign actor and that the call is not actually coming from inside the house, which it is. And, so when you're talking about Israel as a foreign actor, yeah, you're saying anti-Semitic because this has always been the accusations that have been put on Jewish people, that we're outside actors and that we have our own agendas and that we're somehow controlling everything and running the world, when that's actually not happening. So I hope it wasn't intentional on Macklemore's part. And I hope, Benjamin, if you're watching, that you will do better. But yeah, this song, for so many reasons, gives a pass to U.S. imperialism, gives a pass to the military-industrial complex, and reinforces some very problematic ideas. Hope that helps.